Welcome to the Retreat Leaders Podcast, your sanctuary with retreat experts, where we spill the tea on retreat success. Here we dive into crafting transformational guest experiences, talk about how to avoid pitfalls, and unlock marketing secrets. Whether you're a seasoned guru or a budding enthusiast, we've got the inside scoop for you. Join us as we learn how to flourish in this magical world of retreats. Hey guys, welcome back to the Retreat Leaders Podcast. It's Shannon. I am super stoked about my guest today. Before we started recording, I told our guest that I don't have enough of them on my show or enough of them, that I see in the retreat space. So welcome, Brent, to the show. I'm so excited you're here.
Thank you, Shannon. It's my pleasure to be here. Appreciate the time.
Yes. So Brent is a retreat host, and what I meant by there's not enough of them, or at least I don't see enough of them. And so maybe it's just not on my radar as much as it should be, is that there's not enough men hosting men retreats, in my opinion. And Brent hosts men retreats that look absolutely fantastic. But I don't want to take away too much of your thunder, Brent. So why don't you just tell us all about who you are, what you do, and what brought you to where you are now?
Absolutely. Thank you. So I'm a previous corporate employee. I was a mid-senior level HR leader for about 10 years. Working in corporate America. Before that, I was in the car wash industry working as an operations leader. So for like 15, 20 years, I was working for the man. And I got to the point where last year, about 2 years ago, I went to an event out in Austin, and I was really moved by it. And in that moment, sitting with 100 people, I looked to my friend and I said to him, I said, listen, man, I'm going to do this someday. I want to do this kind of thing. And I didn't know how it was going to happen. I didn't know what to expect. But what ended up working out was that, last year, I made a pretty good deal on a real estate thing that I was doing on the side. And about Q3, Q4 of last year, I had this epiphany that, like, if I wanted to, I could probably take a year and a half off and see if I could grow this retreat business into something. And so,
Yes.
yeah, so it was really, it was exciting and nerve-wracking at the same time, right? It's like I have no idea what I don't know,
Yep.
but I
Yep.
trusted, right? I trusted, and I actually did I went to this breathwork certification thing, and I came back from that in December of last year, and I was all of a sudden I was in a meditation after doing a breath work, and it was like I felt like the universe just zapped into my head and was like, you should do a men's retreat. And I'm like, okay. I didn't think about that, but I was like, all right, like let's look at this. But I didn't know where. Like I had coordinated things in corporate HR before, corporate
Sure.
retreat type things, but not in this space. And I felt this urge to go to Sedona, and I had never been to Sedona
Mm.
before. I knew nothing about it. Literally had no idea where it even was, but I was like, okay, that's cool. Like, let's go. And 6 months later, I had my first retreat. So, it's been a journey. It's a gift is really what it comes down to. So, I
It
don't want to
is
get too
that.
long-winded on it, but I for
No, this is great. Okay, so there's so many things that happened just in this first snippet. The first thing is like you definitely received your download, because for you to have a download that says go to Sedona and you've never even been there or it didn't even know where it is, that's definitely a download. It's not usually what I would recommend unless it's a download, right? Because
yeah,
we typically want to host at least our first retreat. And I'm even a fan of saying all retreats in places we've been to at least one time. However, there are definitely situations like this where something is speaking to you and you've just got to follow it. And I love this so much. Let's talk about the fact. See, here's the thing, guys. What we're going to talk about today is Brent's recap of his first retreat, and then now how he's going to learn from that retreat and go forward. Because I think a lot of people, Brent, they think my first retreat, I'm going to make $1 million and it's going to be knocked out of the park. And I also think there are a lot of people out there making it sound like you can do that. Like you can just all of a sudden be an instant success. But the truth is that there's no such thing in any industry. I don't care what it is, if corporate, small business, large business, it doesn't matter what it is. You're typically not an instant success unless you consider the learning the success, which I do, right? Because that's what those first few retreats are. At least the first 1 to 3 are learning experiences, and they're investments for future ones. So I would love, Brent, for you to tell us What happened on your first retreat and what was the biggest downloads and learnings you got from it?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I mean, the the goal here was just to break even. I remember listening to episodes that you had shared, and even in your book, where it says like, "Don't go too far away," and I'm like, "Oh my God!" Like I live in Western New York, I'm going to this, this place I've never even been to, right? So, like I booked a flight, and I got out there 2 weeks later, and I scoped it out, and things just really aligned very well. But really, what I learned from this was in the retreats, and probably as with anything new, who you're coming up against is not the people that I was advertising to or, my family. I was coming up against myself. This is an
Yes.
extremely vulnerable space to be in, financially vulnerable, energetically vulnerable, and and to know that like not everybody catches the picks up what you're throwing down there, right? Like people are like, "What the hell are you talking about? You're doing this," So,
Yeah.
um, I really I invested in a program that was okay. Like I spent a lot of money on it, but it had a pretty good return for me, at least to get me familiar because I didn't have like an Instagram following. I didn't have
Right.
huge LinkedIn following. I'm not on Facebook that often. So how do you do this, right? Um, and that was part of facing off with myself is like overcoming these limiting beliefs that I need those things in order for that to happen.
Right.
And um, I'll be honest with you, I was gonna throw it out. Like it got to
Mm.
be, I had one person sign up. It was the end of March. The agreements that I signed were coming into the point where like, okay, you're within 90 days, you're within 45 days. You need to, make sure you get a deposit. You're on the hook for this. And I just didn't see it happening. And I gave up and I was going to take the website down. And I remember
Mm.
thinking, I'm going to take the website down um, on like Thursday. Or no, it was like a week before. And then all of a sudden I'm like, no, I'll just wait. I'll wait a little bit. I'm going to have this meeting with a friend and then we'll see what happens. Well, before this meeting with my friend, I'm making breakfast one morning and I get this text alert. I'm like, what the hell is this from? And I look and somebody had actually registered for the event, like a straight cold registration. And all of a sudden I had this aha moment. And it's like, wait a minute. Maybe that vision from a couple months ago is true.
Yes.
Maybe there is something out there that's matching what people need or what men need, and maybe I should try a different route. And so it brought up this sense of inspiration. And then I signed up 4 or 5 other people within 2 weeks. Like it just was like,
Wow.
yeah, yeah, it was really powerful. Um, so, from that lens, like I learned, like if I try to force it, it's going to be way more difficult than if I just, take the right action and allow it to kind of manifest or create itself, create the outcomes.
Yes.
Uh, and then also, even just from the overall experience, like I had a whole budget thing written out. I'm a numbers guy, so I was looking at a lot of that, and trusting the process that, like I knew my numbers well enough so I could speak to things confidently. I knew it was going to be within like $500 plus or minus, so I was okay with that. And then really the self-efficacy of realizing,
Mm.
right? Like in the midst of the retreat, realizing I'm doing it. Like, wow, this is really happening, right? Seeing other people's lives start to change in a matter of 4 days. And then
Hell yeah.
afterwards, that feeling of, you know what? I can do this. And now, after the response that I got from them, I'm like, I think I should do this more. And so that's what led me to building into the second retreat now.
Okay, Brent. First of all, congratulations. You've done your first retreat, and in my opinion, it was a huge success. Also, I want to harp on a little bit, or not harp on, that's not the right word, but I want to just celebrate, I guess, again, this mindset shift that you had, because that's really what sounds like happened when you got that second booking. I'm a big fan. I like to tell people who are new in the business that if you got one booking and it's an aligned booking, right? It's you got one aligned booking, then there's others out there. You're just either not
Mhm.
speaking the right language, taking the right action, et cetera, and so forth. I also like to say, now, if you got none, then we need to revisit what your words are and who you're talking to and all the other stuff. But if you get one, at least aligned one. The other thing is, you said something really powerful. My opinion is you can manifest and attract and allow all you want, but if it doesn't have action assigned with it, then it's just daydreaming to me. And daydreaming is fine, but it won't equate to what you just said happened in your mindset shift. So, another congratulations, because that's really cool. So, yay, first retreat, nailed it, nailed the mindset shift. Now, coming out of that, and also, I am so glad that you got to see some of the transformation for other people through you, the space that you're holding, because that's what you're going to hold on to, Brent, as you continue to grow your business. Because now you're going to, based upon our conversation before we started recording, you're going to build this into a profitable machine. And in order to do that, you're going to run into more obstacles. The mindset is going to get a little willy wonka, and we'll talk about that and your plans. But you will naturally. That's what happens when we are on the precipice of growing big.
Mm-hmm.
But you're going to hold on to that whole, like, I saw what this does. I know the value of what this is. Like, I'm a big believer that we can have impact and income. They don't have to be exclusive. And so, anyway, so share with me now, like, what are we doing to make sure that it's profitable? What are some changes, or
Yeah.
what are some things that you're doing?
100%. Like there were things that we did in like Sedona's an expensive place to be. Like
Yes.
I didn't know that. I know that now. And there's times a year to be there and times a year that you don't want to be there.
Yes.
And so what I really took away from this, like I kind of did like what I call like an after action report, right? So when I was in the military, after every mission, you look back and you say, okay, what was it that we did? What did we do well? What could we do differently, right?
Love it.
So after doing this, what I really looked at was like some things were they didn't really have the impact, like
Mm,
so for example, like we went on like this Jeep tour. Like it was nice, it was fun, but like the guys weren't raving about it. It was just more of like a
yeah.
nice to have. Now the zip line tour, everybody loved it. Even those that were afraid of it and overcame themselves there, they loved it. So, when I look at that, I think about like, okay, because part of my modus operandi is every day we're going to do something offsite. So like we go to
Mm-hmm.
hotels. I like to stay in nicer places. So we're going to stay at like a nice hotel. We're going to go out. We're going to do something offsite. We're going to come back during the day. We're going to train or have teachings, all that kind of thing, and then we're going to go out for nice dinners at the same time. And what I realized was like as I build into Austin, like I don't need to like we're gonna do zip lines like for sure, right? Like that's gonna be awesome. But like I looked at like, oh, maybe we could do horseback riding and we could do this and we could do that. And I'm like, but does it need to happen, right? So like when I look at it and I realize something's going to cost $2,000, but is it really going to align with what I'm teaching? Is it going to make an impact and help drive home what we're learning, right? Or is it, kind of like how you talk about like, yeah, people want to know like the activities, but they're looking for the feeling, they're looking for the
Yes.
transformation more than anything else, right? So now as I look at it, what I'm looking for now is what are the critical few that are going to really land, right? And for me, zip lines, that's something that lands because even if you love them, you're still going to get a rush of adrenaline. There's still going to be some type of emotional response in our body.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and just I like to have something a little bit that's specific to the area too, right? So like when we go out to dinner, we're not going to like KFC, we're not going to McDonald's. We're going to go to nice places that are in the area, um, and I want the guys to feel good, right? So
Yeah.
as I look at that now, and then I look at how I'm pricing it, like I knew I was underpriced. I didn't know how much until I was actually on the retreat. And I remember like we rented like this big SUV and we're driving to this I don't even know what we were doing, but I remember driving with all the guys in the truck and I'm like, this is like a $5,000 retreat. Like there like I would pay, not because
Yes.
I'm biased, but like I would pay $5,000 for this. And I was charging like 3,500.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
as I look at this now I've created, packages that range between 3,500 to 5,000. And then I'm adding the value, right? Like it's all dependent on what value you want out of it. And then also with what I've reduced from an expense standpoint, now that margin went from really like maybe 1% to now I'm targeting more like 20 to 30% margin. And that gives me a
Hell
little bit
yeah.
bigger wiggle room and confidence to step into it because I know what it's worth.
Hey, retreat leaders, pause that retreat planning for just a second because I've got something you do not want to miss. I'm headed to London this October to host a live event that's all about teaching you how to host a retreat that's not just transformational, but actually profitable. Imagine sipping tea or champagne with other like minded leaders while mapping out your next sold out retreat. It's happening at the gorgeous Waldorf Hilton in London. I'm spilling all the secrets from pricing to planning, marketing to mindset, and you'll walk away with a strategy you can actually use. No fluff, no BS, just results. So head to retreatmastermindtraining.com and come join me across the pond. Yes, yes. I noticed this. So Brent and I were talking before we started recording about it's just my philosophy. Not all hosts are like this, but I'm not a discount person. I absolutely am anti-discount. And I love though, Brent, I really loved how you built the value into each offering. So it's kind of like, okay, here's your first soft touch point, which includes this, and it's 3,500 or whatever it was. This touch point includes these extra things, and it's 45. You know what I mean? Like, I absolutely love that. I think that you are positioning yourself in such a way that it is going to be beautifully aligned for the guest to get what they want out of it, and then you to feel energetically aligned in a financial way for what you're offering, right?
Yeah. Yes,
Because the ones
exactly.
that paying more, they're getting more from you.
Hmm.
And so it's a really beautiful exchange. So it sounds like you're totally aligned. Tell me the difference about planning for Sedona, which, by the way, I am really glad to hear that you at least went and visited the spot before you hosted there. So
Yeah, yeah.
that really helps. And anybody who's listening, if you're planning a retreat and you've never been there, I'm telling you, you've got to make a site visit. It just makes all the difference in the world. And it just really does. But tell me the differences in planning now your second retreat with a different location. Like, what are some things that have come up for you in this process?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I mean, what's nice now is I kind of know the recipe, right? Like I kept everything the same. Like I'm looking like on my monitor to my right has everything written out, different tabs for on the worksheet. I know exactly what I'm looking at. And I've built this. I mean, you don't get to where not that I was like super high up, but like you don't achieve success in HR in corporate unless you know how to be a business partner, which
Mm-hmm.
means working with operations leaders, figuring out how to, make money with the people you have, those kind of things. So when I looked at this and I'm like, okay, well then I know what I need. I mean, I've done this with entrepreneurs, I've done this with Fortune 500 companies. I need to do this for myself. And in some ways, kind of put myself in check too. Like if I'm dreaming, like I had a conversation with someone and they're like, "Oh, we're gonna do this, and then we're gonna have affiliate marketing and this and that." And I'm like, "Hang on a second. Like, let's get up on our 2 feet first before we start thinking about this." I love the energy, but let's just a little reality check. So when I look at this now, I've got the recipe. At the same time, I've been to Austin like 3 or 4 times in the last year, year and a half. So like I'm familiar with where I want to go. I know that I don't want to take everybody out on 6th Street if I want them to stay sober and have a really good, experience besides having like a party until way late and feeling hungover, right? So,
Yes.
um, so I know the spots where I want to go. I know I knew the type of hotel we wanted to stay at. And so this time it's a lot easier because I've been there, and now
Yeah.
and as I build into next year, I'm going to have several other retreats. And in some of these areas I've not been. So I look at it as it's an investment. Now I need to get out there. I need to
Yep.
to move and shake. I need to talk to people. I've got 3 trips this summer to go to different places because
Excellent.
I so firmly believe that there's an energetic calling for this type of work that it's just a matter of like where and when and how. So that how
Yes.
has become a lot easier now that I've gone through the one.
Hell yes. Yes to all of that. Well, tell our listeners who is your ideal guest and then tell us about your upcoming retreat.
Absolutely. Thank you. So the ideal guest is obviously a man. It could be anywhere. Typically what I've seen, in this last retreat was anywhere from their early 40s to their mid 60s. For me, it doesn't really matter if the key of what I look for is, are you at a crossroads in your life? Do you know that you want something different? Do you know what that is? And maybe it's just that you're not sure of how to get there. And if that's the case, then you're my ideal client. Because what I look at is, I have a balance. I don't get super woo woo because, especially as men, we don't typically want to get into that woo woo space. And and I should also add that my ideal client is somebody who really hasn't been in this space before, that they
Mm.
haven't been to a retreat before. If they have been, maybe it's in a corporate background. So now what I'm doing is I'm giving them some of the neuroscience behind change, some of the things that have been found over the last 10, 15 years as it relates to meditation and breath work. And then also tying that into a little bit of the woo woo, just to get them, dab their toes in it a little bit, but not shock the nervous system too much.
Love it.
I don't want them walking out going like, I'm never doing this again. I want
I
them
love it.
to walk around, walk out saying like, you know what? It was the best balance of opportunity. I learned some things, I tried some new things, and as a result, this is what's happened for me.
I love it. Awesome. So when is your next retreat? We know it's in Austin. When is that
Yes.
happening?
Yes, October 23rd through 26th of this year. And yeah, we're going to kick off. We're going to stay at this beautiful hotel just in the hill country, about 20 minutes south of Austin. And then we're going to kick off, like I said, zip lining, all the fun stuff there. But more importantly than anything, we're going to have a strong sense of community. We're going to have anywhere from 8 to 12 guys that are going to get together, from all over the country. And they're here to better themselves. They're here to get through whatever's been blocking them. And that to me is the most important part, is that transformation truly happens when you get people that are looking for it and are hungry enough to sit at the table and see what happens. So I'm very excited for it. I think it's going to be incredible.
Well, hell yes, Brent. All of that information will be linked in the show notes. So please check it out and share it with someone who you think might really benefit from this, because I can tell from the website, from your history, and from your energy that this is going to be an incredible retreat. So thank you so much, Brent, for sharing your history, your lessons, and your upcoming offerings. It is so appreciated.
Thank you, Shannon. I really appreciate the opportunity.
Thanks for listening to the Retreat Leaders Podcast. Learn more at www.theretreatranch.com. See you next time.